Awesome. Welcome, everyone. My name is Tan. Thank you so much for joining us for the latest Kumi Now online gathering. We have a little fewer folks than usual, but I'm hoping more folks will join, especially with the time clock. So we appreciate your patience as we kind of get adjusted to that. If you're new here and would like to learn more about Kumi Now or Sabio, I'll provide some links in the chat later on where you can find more information and also see our latest online gatherings. Our topic today will be on forced expulsion and resistance in occupied Jerusalem, with a focus on the neighborhood of Silwam in East Jerusalem. And we're joined today by three members behind the Eyewitness Silwam team, Dr. Amani Ode, Dr. Rayed Basbous, and Dr. Susan Green. And they will all introduce themselves briefly as well when they present. But I want to at least say a few words about the amazing initiative that they are all part of. Sabio also brings a lot of people to Silwam during our delegation. So we also have the privilege of knowing the project Eyewitness Silwam and the people of Silwam. Eyewitness Silwam is an international public art project in support of Silwam's longstanding fight against dispossession. Murals depicting the eyes of local and international leaders, activists, workers, and more are scattered across the hills of Silwam, East Jerusalem, and can be seen from miles away. And today they'll be talking about the issues that are facing Silwam, as well as the project of resistance that is happening in Silwam. And we'll start our panel. We have three speakers. They'll each speak, and then hopefully we can have a bit of a Q&A. And then anytime we have left, we can do some nonviolent action together. They also have an upcoming event that hopefully they can speak more on. So our first presenter, we'll start off with Dr. Amani, and then we'll go from there. So thank you, all three of you, for coming and taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you a lot.
نرجع دورنا
والله حرام يا رب اللي بيصير فينا. والله طلع زي العريس والله زي العريس.
Hello everyone. I am Amani Ode. I am a dentist from Jerusalem. I live in Silwan. I am a mother for two children, Adam, and my little daughter is also called Silwan. I am one of the defense committee of Al Bustan neighborhood. I live in Al Bustan neighborhood. And also I am one of the founders and the chairman of Al Bustan Association. The film that we began this presentation with was like an introduction to what is happening in all over Palestine, not only in Jerusalem, also in Gaza and in West Bank. And if you see the introduction, you will know that in every different part of Palestine, you will see the same misery and the same violation that the occupation do for people in different places. Here in Silwan, we mainly say always, it's like a silent war. Why it's silent? Because you can't see blood, but everything happening in Silwan is violation and is very heartbreaking. For us, people who live in Silwan, it was like a hope for us to see projects like Eyewitness in middle of Silwan that said and speak to people by art and say there are other people who know more about what is happening in Silwan. There are people who know that there is problems in Al Bustan neighborhood. There is people who know that there is problems that is being in Batn al Hawa neighborhood. Of course, Silwan is a village that have 13 neighborhood. 6 of them have demolishing orders or have evacuation orders. We believe that it's a way that Israeli occupation, are dealing with people in order to make a forced displacement for Arab people who live in this village, and also for ethnic cleansing. So when we speak about our neighborhoods, we don't speak about one neighborhood only. We are speaking about 6 of the 13 neighborhood that having now demolishing orders or evacuation orders for people who live inside them. For us in Al Bustan neighborhood, we are talking about around 100 house, 1,500 people who live inside those houses. We succeeded from 2005, from the first time that we have the demolishing orders till today in 2025, to freeze those demolishing orders. But in the last year, when the war in Gaza started, Israeli occupation take the opportunity and started to do the real demolishing, and they succeeded to demolish around 26 of the houses of the neighborhood. We are talking about quarter of the neighborhood, almost quarter of the neighborhood. For my house, I live in Al Bustan neighborhood. I was born here in the same neighborhood, and when I married in the same area. I lived all my life in Silwan village and in Al Bustan neighborhood. We are waiting now for any day for the Israeli municipality and the Israeli forces to come and demolish our house. We finished last week. We finished the time that they give us in order to make self demolishing for the house, and we refused. Of course, many people here refused to make the self demolishing for the houses. And after we refused, they say that they will come and demolish the house in any day. Now we are waiting for this demolishing order to be in the ground. Of course, it's not only my story as a story. We are talking about 1,500 people who live in the neighborhood. You will hear the same story from every house here in Al Bustan neighborhood. And it started all in 2005 when they distribute demolishing orders for people who live in the neighborhood. And they claim that people here do not have the building permission for houses to be to build in this area. Of course, they saying that they will do like a public gardens instead of the houses. And all these years, we have like a legal and architecture committee who work together with the people in the neighborhood in order to make different plans. And we send them each time to the municipality, and each time they refuse those plans, even they were wonderful plans. One of them was like an ecosystem village, a neighborhood with several gardens and with new houses, and they refuse all the plans that we sent. Now they tend in the municipality to force us to accept a plan that they did in the municipality. In this plan, they only give us around 16% of the lands of the neighborhood in order to build on them, and the other lands will be under the force of the municipality. Each day is important here in Al Bustan because we believe that we succeeded by advocacy and by the pressure, international pressure, of course, and the pressure from the people who live in the neighborhood. We succeeded to stop them all over those 20 years. But now, with all what is happening in the world, and with the war in Gaza, and because people now do not look to Jerusalem and what is happening in Jerusalem, so they took this opportunity and started to arrested people more. They started to demolish the houses more. They started to be more violent to the people who live in Jerusalem. Of course, as we believe in the projects like Eyewitness and the art to send messages, to send those messages in all over the world. Also, the occupation and the Israeli municipality know that projects like that are very, let's say, very important for us as Palestinians, but very dangerous for them as Israelis. So they even came to the people here and started to demolish anything written or drawn in the walls. They started in Al Bustan neighborhood to make people pay fees in order not to paint anything or not to write anything. So I think projects which send real messages and which send strong messages to the international world that there's something happening in Jerusalem, and something that all people should witness, and all people should see what's real happened in the ground, and not only what they hear from the news, because we don't need more people to know us as numbers or as figures. We need people to hear the stories from the people who witness every day in Jerusalem. And we need people to start to speak about the stories that they hear in order to stop any violation and to stop all the things that the Israeli doing against Palestinian, stop the ethnic cleansing, stop the forced displacement for the people. And this is what is important for us, to have more people who believe in Palestinian rights, and who believe that the solution, the real solution, is to force the international law inside Jerusalem, because we are not, we don't want to be under Israeli government authority, because they have their agenda, and they have all the support from different associations, Israeli association, of course, and different support from different forced and legal authorities. So we believe now that the only way to stop this violation inside Jerusalem is by giving the chance for more people from outside Palestine to know and to talk and to make this pressure and to make this projects that talk about what's really happening in Jerusalem. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Amani, for describing the situation there and giving us a very good overview. I believe it's Dr. Rayad. It's your turn to speak more on the situation as well.
Okay, well, I'm grateful for being invited to be part of this event as a representative of the people in my neighborhood and share our life experience regarding the actions of settler organizations in Silwan village in Jerusalem. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Raed Basbous. I was born in 1977 in Jerusalem and have lived in Batn el-Hawa neighborhood of Silwan ever since. I am married and have 4 children, 3 daughters and a son. I hold a PhD degree in computer science and currently work as lecturer at colleges and universities in Jerusalem, as well as a researcher in the field of computer science. My family originates from Ad-Dawaima village, west of Hebron. They were forcibly displaced during the war of 1948. And after that, they moved between several places until my grandfather finally settled in Jerusalem. In 1963, he purchased a land in Batn el-Hawa neighborhood of Silwam, where he built a home that he shared with my father and uncles at that time. These days, me and my married brothers live in that same building with our children for decades. Our story with settlers organizations. At the beginning of 2015, my family, along with 86 other families in Batn el-Hawa neighborhood, counting more than 700 people, received eviction orders from Israeli courts in favor of settler organizations. This organization claiming that the land on which our homes stand originally belonged to Jewish families who lived in the area during the Ottoman era in 1899. And since 2015, we have been, the families in Batn el-Hawa neighborhood, engaged in legal battle against these settler organizations, which is supported by Israeli government. However, at the start of this year, 2025, my family and about 26 other families received final eviction orders, giving us 6 month deadline to leave our homes. Additionally, each family has been fined approximately $13,000 as a court fees. Maybe it will help to share you a photo of the neighborhood. 1 minute. Here I can see. This photo shows the Batn el-Hawa neighborhood in Silwan. The neighborhood covers an area of approximately 5,500 square meters. In the center of the photo, you can see buildings that are in risk of eviction in yellow, orange, and blue. Most of the buildings in yellow color, their case is still in magistrate court. The residents of the buildings in orange have been appealed the eviction orders to the district court, and a decision may be issued at any time. I have another photo. This one, new one. Buildings in red color are the buildings included in the new eviction order that we received in the beginning of this year. Suhail Rajabi building, Abdel Fattah Rajabi building, Yaqub Rajabi building, our home, Yusuf Basbous is my father, and Khalil is my uncle. The buildings in blue color already taken by settlers now, and there is settler families living in these homes. The other homes are still in magistrate court until now. Okay. Sure. Settler organizations offer to expel Palestinian residents in our neighborhood, Batn el-Hawa or in Bulbustan or Wadi Rababi neighborhood, and to replace them with settler families are not the only challenges we face every day here. As Dr. Amani introduced, the Israeli government also enforces house demolitions, as seen in Bustan neighborhood where Dr. Amani lived, where more than 150 families more than at risk of losing their homes. In addition, land confiscations in other neighborhoods of Silwan, such as Wadi Rababi, where Israeli authorities plan to establish biblical parks as part of the King David Park and the cable car project around the old city, among other measures also. In addition to that, settler families in our neighborhood are accompanied all the time by private security guards and armed forces around the clock. These forces not only escort settlers, but also provoke Palestinian children, prevent them from playing outside, and even arrest them in some cases. As a result, fear has gripped many children to the extent that some are now afraid to go to school or even to the local grocery store alone. Over the past decade, local and international organizations advocating for the Palestinian cause have played a crucial role in supporting the residents of Silwan. Through their solidarity, they help raise awareness on international platforms, calling for urgent actions to stop Israeli authorities and settler organizations from displacing Palestinian residents in Jerusalem. This support has reassured residents in our neighborhood that are not fighting alone in the struggle, providing them with sense of hope. I shared with you a photo, which is one of the most recent projects in Batn al-Hawan. Yeah, I can see the photo also. You can see, yeah? Okay. One of the most recent projects of this organization is in Batn al-Hawa, especially is the Eyewitness Silwan initiative, whose members are presenting with us today, Susan Green and others. Their project involved painting murals in homes and alleyways inspired by Palestinian heritage to bring life and hope to community while sending a message that we are here to stay in Jerusalem. I have another photo also. The project included artistic depictions of the eyes of Palestinian and international freedom fighters who dedicated their lives to struggle for justice. These images are visible from outside as they introduced from outside the neighborhood, serving as a powerful statement. We are here as witness to your actions. Also, the murals has significant impact in fostering a sense of psychological comfort. That's another one. And reassurance. They feature flowers, birds, inspired Palestinian nature, as well as depictions of children. These artworks contributed to beautifying the neighborhood and sent a clear message to visitors of Jerusalem and Silwan that its residents have been Palestinian long before the occupation of Jerusalem. In conclusion, I again extend my gratitude for the opportunity to share my experience and the residents of my neighborhood with you. And I hope that this kind of webinars are role in spreading awareness and amplifying the message about what's happening in Jerusalem neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing the pictures as well. I now invite Dr. Susan Green to speak more on this and then also about the current campaign as well that Eyewitness Silwan is launching.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm a clinical psychologist and a muralist, and I've been had the honor of working with the Silwan community for the past 10 years on this project. And I'm going to share my screen now. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. As mentioned, Eyewitness Silwan has been a project for the past 10 years, and here I'm going to show you some images of the murals. This you can see here, the eyes of Hassan Kanafani, the eyes of Nasser, and the eyes of the community member, the green eyes on the top. Those were the first eyes that were painted in the hills of Batn al-Hawa. And as mentioned, you can see the murals from across the valley. You can see the murals from the Israeli tourist sites. So the eyes really are watching people. We have international artists as part of the project, and that brings an international gaze, so to speak, to Silwan, to occupy Jerusalem. This is Emory Douglas, who's the revolutionary artist of the Black Panther Party, and he gave us the eyes of Malcolm X. And you can see here he's holding the poster that the eyes came from. Above, right in the middle, are the eyes of Milad Dayash, who was a 15-year-old boy who was killed by the settler gun guards in 2015. And these eyes were drawn by the iconic artist Sliman Mansour. And so we some of the images are painted on the walls, some of them are printed and glued to the walls. So we work in all kinds of ways to enable people who can't travel physically to Silwan to be able to participate. And on the top, again, you see the eyes of Hassan Kanafani that were painted by a Palestinian American muralist, Chris Khazalda. And here are more of the murals by Bibian, is a Philippine leader, by the artist CC Carpio. And you can see here the project really focuses so much on the kids, on the youth, and Zuhair Rajabi, who's the co-director of the project, has said, we want to give back to the children some of their childhood, which has been taken away from them because of the occupation. We have the eyes of Che Guevara, who had made a very historic visit to Gaza in 1959. And that really was one of the ways that the occupation of Palestine became like a global issue of colonization, and was one of the, one of the ways that people first started to learn about what was happening. We have the eyes of George Floyd, to make connections between what's happening in Palestine, what's happening in Jerusalem, and what's happening in other places in the world, like here in the United States. Another one of these attempts to really make connections between global struggles for freedom and liberation was the eyes of Rachel Corrie, who is an American activist who was killed by Israeli occupation forces in Gaza in 2003. Yad al-Halak was a young man who suffered from autism, was killed in the old city of Jerusalem, even though his teacher was there and was telling the soldiers to stop. But they killed him anyway. The name of this mural that Dr. Ra'ad showed is called Your Imagination is Limitless and Your Mind is the Most Powerful Tool. This is a mural that was painted on a kindergarten by Chris Khazalda, who was a guest artist a couple of years ago. These are more images of kids painting, and this is Nasser. Her home is one of the homes that has been threatened with forced expulsion and demolition. She's been struggling for a decade to keep her home. And we painted a mural with her and her family. And she said that the murals made her feel like she could live. The murals made her feel safe. This is the front of her home, and this is her granddaughter. And these are the eyes of her granddaughter on the wall. I'm going to try and play this video for you. Let's see. Okay.
لا شوي من احلى السبب شو بدي هي بدي محل افتح
أن تراني في عتمتك شيء مستحيل، أما أنا فأراك.
We're ready. We'll start, and then I'm thinking over the next month, you can work here more with the kids, and then we can also have kids tomorrow.
مشروعنا شهداً على سلوان عزيز علي لأنه أنا سكنت بسلوان لأكثر من 15 سنة وانتقلت على مكان تاني، وعن طريق هذا المشروع أنا رجعت لهون. رجع جمعني في حدا من أعز الناس على قلبي اللي هي جنان. أنا وجنان كنا مع بعض بسلوان بطفولتنا نلعب. إني أرجع هون بهذا العمر وإني أكون في سلوان كمان مرة ومع صاحبتي، هذا الإشي كتير حلو.
في كتير ناس بالعالم ما بيعرفوا شو بصير بسلوان،
بس من بعد المشروع صارت الرسومات تلفت الناس إنها تيجي لسلوان. كثير بنقابل ناس أجانب أو عرب إنه بشوفوا العيون من مرة بصيروا يمشوا بوصلوا للحي، من هون نتلاقى معهم بصيروا يحكوا لنا شو فكرة المشروع وبيعرفوا أكثر عن المشروع شو بصير بحي بطن الهواء. كمان انه احنا مش بس بنرسم جداريات لشخصيات كمان معينه او بتسلط الضوء بس على القضيه الاساسيه، برضه بنشتغل على نفسيه الاطفال. فبنحاول نرسم جداريات تخلي تركيزهم على الالوان، على الحيطان، على الحياه بشكل عام.
احنا بدنا نرجع شوي من طفولتهم، الابداع بخليهم يحسوا انهم اقوى.
حلمي ان اطلع برضه محاميه وادافع عن وطني.
مش إشي عادي بأنه كل هاي الزخرفات والرسومات اللي ممكن تعبر عن هوية الإنسان العربي والفلسطيني اللي بعيش في القدس نقدر نبين هذه الهوية بسهولة، خصوصاً أنه هذا الشارع فيه كثير مستوطنين ساكنين، فهو شارع مشترك وما بيقدر الإنسان الفلسطيني يقدر يسوي اللي بده إياه ويبين هويته ويعبر عن نفسه.
I think in the interest of time, I'm going to skip ahead to some of the actions that the work has been part of. So we've taken images from Eyewitness Silwan and made posters for protests like this one when the genocide started. And this is a new initiative, and we're having a launch this coming Saturday, April 12th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. It's a creative cultural intervention, and where we're using art, new pieces, new art by artists, and not only artists. We're going to create, we're creating ways that all people, no matter what skill level, can participate in work that will raise awareness. But more than that, we want to put pressure on where we can to try and stop what's happening in all across Silwan and all across Palestine. And so please come tune in. And if you'd like to know more, we would love to have you, and we'll continue sharing information with you too. So please make sure that we have your email address and such. And one of the communities that one of the ways we're trying to work in particular is to address the issue of Christian Zionism and working with organizations that are struggling against Christian Zionism, like Christians for a Free Palestine and Sabil. And we will be dedicating this mural tentatively or almost certainly on April 27th, the week after Easter. These are the eyes of the blind man who consented to be given sight by Jesus in Silwan at the Silwan pools. And these eyes are actually looking directly at the actual Silwan pools in Silwan that have been taken over by the Israeli occupation and made part of the City of David tourist center, which uses Bible stories to justify and to attempt to legitimize colonization and ethnic cleansing. And so we're using the Bible in a different way to look back and say, everyone see what is happening. So we'll also have more information about that too. And to support Eyewitness Silwan, you can go to this link, support Eyewitness Silwan. And that's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I put down the link. Hopefully that was the correct spelling of it for if you want to visit that link to support Eyewitness Silwan. Now, if anyone has questions, you can put it in the chat. And if you have a specific question directed at one of the speakers, please feel free to also mention that so I can read the question out. In the meantime, as we wait for questions, I also wanted to know, since the genocide began, what the situation has been in terms of the acceleration. Has there been a massive increase in demolitions? Has there been new tactics also that have been being in use the last 2 years? So any one of the speakers, maybe you can speak on this situation in the past 2 years since October 7th, what has been like in East Jerusalem.
Mainly demolition become accelerated at the last 2 years because you can see that they started to make real demolishing. Before that, it was only demolishing orders, and we could go to the courts in order to freeze them for perhaps sometimes. But from the beginning of the war, they started to accelerate the demolishing, and they started to demolish not only in Silwan, but also in Al-Asawiya, in Tur, in Beit Hanina, even in the time that there is like holidays, and there is like, because last month it was Ramadan and was the holiday for Muslims, and even in the days of the holidays and even in the days of in Ramadan, they come and demolished houses in the different neighborhoods. So yeah, they took this opportunity in order to increase the numbers and the places that they demolished in it.
Wow. Thank you. And I know you mentioned also the option for families to self-demolish. How much does a demolition cost when the military comes in and demolishes a home?
Mainly, they give more than one chance for the people here. So they said you have to pay like fees for making this demolition, for making this building, and if you don't pay the fees, you have the opportunity to make a self demolishing. And if you didn't do the self-demolishing, we will come and demolish, and you will pay the extra fees for the people who come and demolish these houses. It's cost thousands of shekels, hundred of dollars, and it's different from house to house. It's depend on how they make the demolishing in this house. If they bring like trucks and bulldozers, or they bring people to work inside this house, and it costs a lot here to demolish the house. And after that, they also bring like a violation fees in order to be also paid from the people who live inside those houses.
Well, thank you so much for giving us more details on this situation. I have a few questions here that are related to also the project, specifically what Dr. Susan just mentioned about the project about Christian Zionism. Have any of the churches spoken out in support? Are there any like US or American church groups that have been working with SWAN at all?
Yeah, Christians for a Free Palestine is one of them. And I'll put the link to their information, and they are also doing a series of meetings during the Lent period, especially to educate and lift up what's happening, and really trying to make a connection between Christian Zionism and Christian nationalism, which is really a very big movement here in the US, across the world. It's actually the largest group of Zionists in the world, are Christian Zionists, evangelicals. So it's really important work, and it's I think people are becoming more aware of it, which is, I think, really very positive.
Wonderful. And has any mainstream media shown any interest in your project? That's one question that we have right here in the chat.
There has been interest off and on over time. Yeah, but we're really trying to, make a big push now to see if we can arrange and inspire the project to be able to reach its full potential, which is to communicate more, use art as a way to really communicate what's happening in Silwam, people's stories, so people can hear from people themselves who are living in Silwam. If anybody has connections that they want to share, please do. But it's really, yeah, we're really trying too hard to raise the profile. For example, at our Saturday event, Muhammad Al-Kurd will speak, who is well known. So we're really trying to find ways to have people with high profiles talk about the project, and talk about the power of art and culture in resistance movements.
Wonderful. And have the murals inspired other actions in different neighborhoods around Jerusalem in response to their own situation of demolition and forced eviction?
I think it's starting to happen. It's hard to paint murals in Jerusalem, in Silwan, and it gets harder and harder. As Dr. Amani mentioned, it's dangerous, and the occupation doesn't want imagery that manifests the existence of Palestinians, or their desires, or their identity. For example, I read just recently that the UN schools are being closed in East Jerusalem. And this is devastating on so many levels, including one of the things about the schools is that they supported Palestinian identity. And encourage the students to learn about their history, and they're really trying to stop that from happening. So there's it's not so easy.
So Suzanne, I think also that the occupation now, they see themselves consider itself above international law. So
Exactly.
unfortunately, despite the visits of the consuls and the European Union every time to the neighborhoods, and despite all the pressure that international law is doing against them, they always accelerated the demolishing, accelerating the violation in many levels. So about the thing that you said about the UN schools today, they entered 6 of the UN schools, and they forced them to close and to send the students that study on those schools in schools that are funded by the Israeli municipality. And even the books, we in our schools, we teach the children with Palestinian Authority books. They treat it like a violation, and they could arrest any one of the children who have those books inside his school bag. So they chase the children in school, in books, in even if as we said, a mural or a painting in the wall could cause him to be arrested.
One more thing, Dr. Amani, as you said, and I mentioned in other webinars, after the 7th October, what happened on 7th October, most of people are busy all the time watching news coming from Gaza, Lebanon, Syria. Nobody interested in what happened in Jerusalem or Silwan or other parts of Palestine. So they seize the opportunity to accelerate the demolition orders and eviction orders. Nobody care.
So other than I know there was a mention of the Saturday event, and I think people can sign up for that. We'll make sure to put the link in the chat for this. Other than this upcoming opportunity, what other ways can you think of that international community members can put pressure and continue to support the communities in Jerusalem regarding this issue?
I think first thing that could be happened is to visit those villages, like actually visit for Al Bustan neighborhood, for Batn al Hawa neighborhood, and different neighborhoods in Jerusalem, in order to see and to hear from people who live inside those neighborhoods. Also, I think people should write to their governments and write to their speakers who speak about different subjects and different causes in different places, in order to talk more. It's like what Dr. Vaspous said. It's mainly a silent war. So we need to explode this silence, and to break this silence, in order to talk more about what's happening in Jerusalem, in order not to be alone in this silent world, and in order to make people know more that what is happening in Jerusalem is not about permissions, or not about an orders from a normal municipality that want to, as they said, they want to organize the neighborhoods. It's just a lie, because they don't want to organize those neighborhoods. If they want to organize those neighborhoods, they will accept the plans that the people send every time to the municipality. They only even in courts, they one time they said it's not about law or legal issue, it's about politics. So everything that is happening here in Jerusalem, it's about politics. And we as Palestinians, we always said we want to enforce the international law. This is the only thing that we ask as Palestinians, because we know that in international law, we are talking about Jerusalem as an occupied place and should enforce the international law inside it. So talking more about what's happening, writing more about what happens, even projects like eyewitness project, it mean a lot for people here. It's mean a lot in a psychological way, and it's mean a lot as a messenger to the other people who come from outside Silwan in order to see and hear from people inside Silwan.
Thank you, Dr. Amani, for the advice that you're giving us. And I want to also add that Sabil will be continuing for the next year or so to bring delegations specifically to Jerusalem to meet Palestinian communities. So that's also a good opportunity for you, like Dr. Amani said, to visit Silwan and other neighborhoods. Are there any last things that you guys would like to say to our audience that you think is important for us to take away from this meeting before we conclude?
Just I hope that this kind of events will play a role in spreading awareness and amplifying the message about what is happening in Jerusalem neighborhoods, as Dr. Amani said.
I only want to add that every action is an important action in the Palestinian cause, because I always say that in 2009, Hillary Clinton heard about what happened in the Protestant of Al Bustan neighborhood and right for the municipality in Israeli municipality, and she succeeded to force them to freeze the demolition for 10 years from 2009 till 2019. Also, Jimmy Carter visited the Protestant in Al Bustan and write about it in his diary, and this make a strong solidarity with our case and make a pressure to the Israeli Authority. So every action is an important action. Believe that the right will be with the Palestinian at the end, and when we speak louder and we speak together about what is happening in Silwan, it will make a real change in the ground. Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to add also, Dr. Susan?
No, I think Dr. Raed and Dr. Amani have really covered it. It's really important, and you don't always know what impact your actions will take. And so it's hard to not get, frustrated and sad and feel useless. But you can't give in to that because what we do matters, and we don't actually know how it's going to impact people. And the idea is we have to just keep fighting.
Thank you. And I think that's the great sentence to end our conversation today. And thank you so much for educating us today about the issues that are going on in these neighborhoods, the silent war, as you said. And I hope that this continues to encourage our audience today and also the people who will watch this video later of the concrete actions that they can do to support the communities in Jerusalem. So thank you to our speakers for taking the time to show up today and speak with us. For the last few minutes, I'll share a few links. I already shared the link to the Silwan campaign, the Eyewitness Silwan campaign happening on Saturday, so people can sign up for this. Maybe Dr. Susan, if you put the link for financially supporting Eyewitness Silwan or other projects and organizations in the neighborhood, maybe this could be helpful for people. And in the meantime, we'll focus on this, and then I can add a few other actions. But yeah, feel free if you need to leave, Dr. Rayad, Dr. Susan, if you need to leave, like, feel free to do so. But we'll spend the rest of the time just engaging in action now. So thank you.
Thank you. And some participant asking about the link of the video that Susan shared.
Yeah, I'll put
Thank
that.
you.
I'll put that in here. Yeah. Here's the support link, and I'll put in the video link, and then I'll jump off. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.